Okay, I'm the last speaker in this session, and I'm going to raise the bar a little bit higher, even though compared to the other speakers. I'm a senior digitalization advisor at Tieto, and I'm going to talk about the digital landscape and sort of the trends that really drives the needs of APIs and API management. First, a little bit about myself. Working as a senior digitalization advisor at Tieto, I have a background working with integration since 30 years in companies like Frontech, eBuilder, and Axway. I'm actually here on behalf of Axway today because we are using their technology internally in Tieto. I've been working all over the globe. Right now, I'm even trying to get flower shops to become digitalized, which is a challenge, I can promise you. I have 4 kids, 2 dogs, a cat, and there's a lot of bees flying around here as well, because I really like beekeeping and beehives and so on. And then in my spare time, I'm out canoeing and so on as well. So there you have me in a nutshell, really. I'm going to talk very briefly about Tieto and Business Technology Advisory, where I work, and then I'm going to talk about the digital journey, APIs in the digital landscape, and then give you 3 Tieto examples where we are using APIs. Tieto today is one of Nordic's largest system integrators. We have around 14,000 employees. We have operations in more than 20 countries and serving customers in around 85 countries worldwide. I would say, if you take public, for example, in Sweden, we have some kind of system or solution in all public organizations in Sweden, for example. But we have financial services, we have manufacturing, we have public healthcare, welfare, telecom, media, energy. We're doing product development against Ericsson and so on. So we're a really large company. I must say I've been here since March last year at Tieto, and I meet new colleagues every week that I don't know where they are in the organization. Business Technology Advisory is actually in between the business side and the technical side. We're trying to act more almost like moderators between business and IT. I meet business guys who says IT don't understand us, and I meet IT people who says business doesn't understand what we want to do. So we're trying to be in between in the interface there. And I think we play a very important role. There's a lot of challenges in large corporations to really cooperate internally in the organizations as well. In my part of the organization, we're working with digitalization advisory, digital strategies, digital opportunities, digital transformation. So both from a strategic, tactical, and operational point of view. Then we have other parts in my team who work with cloud advisory. Tieto has, for example, a service called One Cloud, which is a hybrid cloud solution where customers can use Microsoft Azure in combination with Amazon, in combination with Google Cloud, and so on and so on. But the big teams the big mass in my team today, they're working with security. GDPR, for example, that Ulf mentioned. We have a lot of people working with GDPR compliance issues today. So this is a big area. That was a short introduction. The digital journey then. I've been working with integration and business processes for more than 30 years, and I've tried to make up a way of thinking when you talk about digitalization, really. I see that you need a digital strategy. You need to start, and I will talk more about that, on customer journeys, business processes, as is to be states, and the change, really. Then you get into the structure and how to digitalize the information. Maybe you need information architects and so on. Then you get into the integration and accessibility. We have a team or a part of Tieto today with 150 people in an organization called Value Network, where we work with connecting ecosystems, really. We run yearly 1 billion transactions through that service today. Anything from e-invoices to files to API calls and so on. And then you have to start thinking about hosting, development, maintenance, and how the modernization of the old system works. If you work with this, then you're on the track for the digital journey. Then you're on the track for better economy, shorter lead times, possibility to innovate, better use of staff, better customer experience, for example. But you need to have a structured way of looking at it. I'm going to show you how that could look like, how this digitalization journey could look like, and how to think about it in my presentation. Let's start with the age of the customer. If we paint with the big brush here, 1900 to 1960, we were working with the age of manufacturing. Then came the age of distribution. Everything should be optimized, how to work with supply chains and distributions. 1990, 2010, around that area, we had the age of information, and now we're in the age of the customer. And this is what really drives the needs of APIs and API calls. Because customer IT in the past was problem-focused, offline, business hours, reactive. Customer IT in the age of the customer has to be customer-centric, online, mobile, always on, proactive, for example. This is from a research from Forrester, and this was 2014, and I really must say this is what you have to think about, and that really are the big paint that drives sort of the changes in the digitalization. What does that mean? If you have your own organization to the left, and you have your global value networks to the right, more and more of your business process is in the hands of someone else. You have to still control it, but more and more is in the citizens' hands, the users' hands, the patients' hands, the government, the value-added partners, the payments, procurement, transport, collaborations with others, and so on and so on. So, and it's all not enough there, because your own business is moving into the cloud as well, into the collaboration. You have applications and business processes as a service, you have integration as a service, you have global cloud services for collaboration, etc. So this is in transition, and this is really what drives also the needs of APIs. So you can also look at it from an OSI Stack point of view. If you in the future, in the past, have everything on yourself, you were talking business to business, business to consumer, application to applications, the more you move up to the stack, in the stack, against business processes as a service, the more and more you talk about APIs as well. So you let more partners handle, for example, infrastructure, platforms, software as a service, and your business processes as a service, or part of your business processes as a service at least. So the digital landscape has to change. Your organization has to change. And you have to start thinking about that the digital customer value and the added services, the business processes, should drive the need of IT, should drive the need of organization, and they need to collaborate in between. The arrows cannot go in the other direction. You can't say that the IT system should tell us how our customer value and our added services should look like. Or you can't dictate how the organization should sort of steer how the services should look like. You have to think in the other way, in the other direction. Another problem that I often meet is that the traditional hierarchy, the hierarchy of the organization, sales and marketing, support, maintenance, IT, and so on. They have their own projects, their own processes, but they have to start thinking about that the business process is actually horizontal across the organization. This drives the need that you guys were talking about in terms of time and APIs and API calls. Because the user wants something and the user want to have it as quick as possible, and it has to be added value to what they are using. So this is how I try to get my organizations to think when they get into the digital journey. And this is extremely important. So what I've done is that I've created a digital landscape. I divided this digital landscape up into 6 focus areas. And then in these areas, there could be different enablers. And those enablers are different for different companies. So for example, and this is on purpose that I put customer centricity to the left-hand side. Because as I said, we live in the era of the customer. So you have to start thinking about the customer centricity first. Mobile first strategy, customer self-service strategy, channel consistency, omni-channels, personalized customer journeys, customer profiling and consumer analytics, for example, coming back to your presentation, Bruno, how to measure and so on. Then you get into the operational excellence. How can we do end-to-end service tracking and monitoring? How do we have our services in a product catalog? And so on and so on. You get into innovation, start up and think ecosystems. How can we create added value to our customers? Transformation, cloud center of excellence, digital leadership, digital communication, digital culture, bimodal, run things in parallel to each other. You get into effective knowledge worker. How can we get cross-functional collaboration between the different departments in our organization? Then you get into IT. On purpose, I put IT to the right-hand side, because this is where we have to real-time insight into IT operations. This is where we have to have third-party system integrator and data security and privacy. If we work with these 6 focus areas, then we are on the track for new business models. Then we are creating disruptive business models that could be data-enabled, location-based. We're unbundling existing value propositions, and so on and so on. So when I, as a digitalization advisor, work with my customers, I try to find the holes. I try to find the areas where my customer has not started working yet and help them to prioritize that so that they get into this area. Because if they don't get on the track on the digital landscape, they will be dead. That is the truth. You really have to be and stay competitive on the market the whole time from a business perspective. I'll show you some examples. This is Tieto examples. We're working in Finland with the wood and fiber supply chain ecosystem. There are 630 forest owners in Finland. Finland is sea, lakes, and wood, basically. There's no question that there are 630,000 forest owners, 650 forest service companies, 1,000 harvesting companies, 450 transportation companies, and 550 forest industry companies. They need to collaborate. So what we're doing is that we have a vision of a forest hub, and we have started to work with this. So you have the asset owner APIs, you have the stakeholder APIs, you have different forestry, purchase, harvesting, logistics, mill receptions, and different types of business processes. And they all have to be supported by an underlying platform with B2B exchange, as Ulf said, financial clearhousing, web apps for small companies, exchange of B2B information, real-time sharing, API gateway management, data storage, big data, information processing, data analytics, and so on. This is one example where Tieto is working now as a system integrator, trying to build this ecosystem or forest hub. Because they will not be competitive on the market if they don't do this. Coming back to my digitalization journey slide. Another area, Ulf already mentioned this, is in the banking. Tieto is one of the largest banking system integrators. And we are now working on open bank APIs and so on to create different types of solutions. So this is another example. The third example is actually not procured right now, but it's in the procurement process. I find this very interesting. I'm part of this business procurement process right now. It's the Swedish municipalities where we have 290 of them in Sweden today. These 290 municipalities, they basically have, in average, 200 to 300 different types of IT systems. But the population, our citizens in Sweden, we demand that the business processes should work in a similar way in all of these 290 municipalities. And it doesn't do that today. For example, if you want to build something, a building permit, just in my small region where I come from, where we have 13 municipalities, range in cost for our citizens there between 22,000 and 94,000 Swedish kronor. It's the same business process, but it's not integrated, it's not working the same way, they have their own organization and so on. Now, the Swedish, the umbrella organization of Swedish municipalities said, we want to build a business process where you should be able to book innebandy, ice hockey, swimming, and so on in your spare time against 8 million people, because 200 of these municipalities has agreed that we want to build it as an open platform, a cloud platform. This is the first time ever I see a Swedish government initiative sort of trying to create a common platform for more than 8 million people, talking to 200 out of the 290 municipalities who has their own financial systems, their own sort of systems for, swim halls and things like that. And now they have to collaborate against 8.3 million people. This is a typical example that we see coming more and more and more, where APIs and the digitalization journeys has to come together. So I just wanted to show you this as an example. This is supposed to be up and running in 2018, end of 2018. So a conclusion. You have to have a plan. You have to think big. You have to think on the digitalization journey overall to succeed. But then you have to start small. There are APIs everywhere in the digital landscape. APIs help you to get going. APIs help you to scale. But then you have to scale fast. And you have to do it in small chunks. And you have to prove that you're actually working on the 6 areas that I showed you. In all of them. It's not only technology, it's organization as well. And the last slide. Remember to continue to innovate. Incredibly, really, that it took them until 2021 to get these things to hover. Thank you very much.